Welcome to this week's podcast. I'm Tim Weigel, grape and hops IPM specialist with the New York State IPM program and also with the Lake Erie Regional Grape Program. And we're here today, we're going to talk about spotted lanternfly again, an invasive species that has made its way to the United States. It was found in Pennsylvania in 2012, and we've been talking about this pest being able to come up to New York State rather quickly because they're excellent hitchhikers, and it was always a matter of not if but when. And if you've been watching the news, there was a press release last week that spotted lanternfly was found in both Albany County and Yates County, and they were both adults, and they both came up here through hitchhiking. When they got into their car, they found this insect flying around. It was plant hopper, but it was the adult, so it was clumsily flying around. Found it. Luckily, they knew what spotted lanternfly looked like, and they were able to report it. In Penn Yan, it was in a cottage. Somebody was out in the evening looking around. They noticed the clumsy flight pattern of spotted lanternfly. They were actually from Pennsylvania, around the quarantine area. They'd seen it before, so they were able to capture the adult and get it confirmed that it was spotted lanternfly. Both of these have been shown to be just hitchhiking adults coming up. There's no infestations that we know of at this time, but what's important to pull from this is, they can make it up here. This time of year, we have to worry about both the adults and the egg masses coming up on vehicles coming from Pennsylvania. So if you see license plates from Pennsylvania, you might want to talk to those folks, especially if they come next door, they're visiting or they're coming up to visit you. Ask them where they're coming from. It's an excellent conversation starter about spotted lanternfly, invasive species. Give them that information. If they're from the quarantine area, they may know a lot more about spotted lanternfly than you do, and it could have a good conversation. We're not being mean to our neighbors to the south because, as we talked about in Albany County, New York license plate, and they found the spotted lanternfly inside the vehicle. It isn't just license plates from Pennsylvania or vehicles with license plates from Pennsylvania that are going to bring these critters up. If you've seen pictures of spotted lanternfly adults, typically you see it with the wings open. They have the pretty red underwings. They have the swollen abdomen with the yellow on the side. That is actually a mated female that is getting ready to lay her eggs. Typically you won't see that. What you're going to see is if the adult is at rest, it's still a pretty insect, even though it's very destructive or can be destructive. But with its wings closed, it has the spots on it, and that is probably what you're going to see other than the flying adult. We're out here at our riverbank looking for ailanthus trees. The adults prefer ailanthus. That's or tree of heaven. That is their preferred host, or one of their preferred hosts, along with grapes, hops, apples, maples. They can feed on over 70 species that have been confirmed in the United States to this point. So we're here, we're looking at ailanthus trees. It's kind of, if you want to be on the lookout and help monitor for spotted lanternfly, you can adopt an ailanthus tree or tree of heaven. We're here on the riverbank, and you can see a good-sized ailanthus. We were cruising around and we found an even larger ailanthus. The tree of heaven was actually brought over. It's now considered an invasive weed, but it was brought over as an ornamental. And so we have trees that are growing in Fredonia, New York. The females produce seeds. You have a male and a female. The females produce seeds, and those seeds are wind distributed, and that's why we're finding them. They love the disturbed soil that you would find sumac growing in. You can also find ailanthus. Ailanthus has the bark, as it gets older, almost looks like cantaloupe. It will have, if you pull these off, you'll have the compound leaf. The best way to tell is that if you snap that and smell it, it's going to have an odor. Been described as peanut butter, rotten peanut butter. The bottom of the dust in the bottom of a Cheerios box is another one. It has smooth edges on there. And when I said that it grows in the same places as sumac, and just driving by, you can easily confuse the two because this has compound leaves as well. But if you look really closely at a sumac leaf, you have serrated edges on the leaves, where the leaves of the tree of heaven are smooth. We were just at another spot where we looked, thought maybe it was tree of heaven because it was right across the street from the female tree of heaven that had seeds. And we went and looked, and from a distance it looked like it could be tree of heaven, but when you got close it turned out to be an ash tree. Had the compound leaves, but if you looked at the bark, it was very rough. So adopt an ailanthus tree, start looking for spotted lanternfly, have the conversations with people that you know have gone down to the quarantine areas in southeast Pennsylvania. Start talking about spotted lanternfly. I think the take-home message from what we saw in Yates County and in Albany County were that the people knew what spotted lanternfly was. So they weren't scientists. They didn't really have an invested interest in spotted lanternfly. They were just general public, but they knew what to look for, and they knew that they needed to report it because it was an invasive species. The DEC has an email, which you'll see at the bottom here, that if you do spot lanternfly, try and capture it. Definitely try and get a picture of it. The adults are plant hoppers, so they can hop large distances. They're difficult to catch. If you just walk up and think you're going to pick it up, you'll probably fail. So if you are lucky enough to capture, unlucky enough that spotted lanternfly are here and you found them, but you're lucky enough to be able to capture them, please kill them. Don't release them. You can double bag them. You can put them in a jar of alcohol. That will kill them. But just, make sure that they're in a shape that can be positively identified, so stepping on them and smushing them probably isn't the way to go. But if you can capture them, make sure that they're not going to be able to escape. But get a picture of it, report it to the DEC. They will send somebody out or contact you to confirm that it was actually spotted lanternfly. And also, if you find ailanthus or tree of heaven, you can also report that because it is an invasive species. You can report that through IMAP invasives, and you'll see the URL or web page for that as well. If you have any questions, you have suggestions for future podcasts, please put it in the comment sections below.